Good morning, guys. This morning we are headed to Hanover Airport, Kilo Oscar Foxtrot Papa. Hanover Airport is my home airport, located in Ashland, Virginia, just outside of Richmond International Airport's Class C airspace. They have an FBO on-prem at Hanover Airport managed by Heart of Virginia Aviation, or HOVA for short. It's a little dreary out this morning, but we are going to head over there. We're going to talk to some of their staff members, get a look at the airport, get a look at some of their planes, and see all the services this airport has to offer. For now, let's jump in the car and get on our way.
If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is David, and as the intro suggests, I am the Procrastinating Pilot. Click that subscribe button and ring the bell for weekly videos about aviation, my journey getting back into the cockpit, and all the distractions that sometimes keep us out of the sky.
And we've made it. Before we go in the airport, we're just gonna take a quick walk around, have a look at the sign, have a look at the facility itself. Then we'll get inside, we'll meet Trevor. Like I said, we are gonna spend some time interviewing Trevor, probably a linesman, hopefully an instructor if we have one available, and maybe a couple other pilots. We'll have to see who's here at the airport today. Although it is rainy, it is still a VFR day. The ATIS is reporting light rain, a layer at about 3,000 feet and 6 miles visibility. So definitely still a VFR day, even if you're just doing pattern work. Great day to get out here. But let's get out here, take a look, and before we get inside and see what's going on. All right, so met with Trevor. He is walking inside to get some keys for us. We're going to be able to take a look at some of the 172s that are based here, as well as some of the Technums. So one of the things that they do have here at Hanover Airport is they have a really nice training school. I have actually done training here. Of course, they have the Cessna 172s. They do have some Technum light aircraft. They also have the Technum twins, both steam and glass cockpit. For now, let's walk around, let's take a look at the planes, and enjoy the aircraft out here on the tarmac today. One of the planes we're going to look at is November 5335 Juliet, a Cessna 172. I've actually trained in this plane. Trevor's just got the keys for us. He's getting inside and getting that all taken care of. Right now, another plane taking off. So again, even though it is a little dreary today, it is not keeping anyone indoors. Still a perfectly good VFR day here today. All right, jumping in 35J with Trevor. Trevor,
how's it going?
Thank you for having us here.
Anytime.
We are in here in 35J. This is a steam gauge 172. What year is this?
It's 1986.
1986. And then one of the nice things, they are starting to upgrade some of the avionics, which is fantastic. They have the new Garmin. This is the G5?
G430.
Okay.
And then the G5.
Okay, G430 and the G5. They also have the...
That's a Garmin G3X.
G3X, which is their new AHRS, yes, which is fantastic. Inside the plane, any of you guys that are just now learning to train, have trained, will train, 172 is obviously one of the planes of choice, specifically for a high wing. What else do you guys train in for low wing?
We've got a Piper Warrior, and we've got the Tecnam Sierra, both for low wing training.
Fantastic. And you also have the Tecnam Twin as well.
Correct.
Cool. So we're going to take a look at both of those aircraft. The Tecnam Twin, they have two. They have one that's glass cockpit and one that is steam cockpit, or steam gauges rather. Trevor, I know you are a pilot, right?
I am.
So what are you training in?
I currently fly most of the aircraft here. I fly the Cessnas, the Tecnams, and the Warrior.
Okay.
I've also got a little bit of experience in a Piper Meridian and about to be a Pilatus PC-12 as well.
Very cool. And you are planning to be a professional pilot, correct?
Going for the corporate charter side and then eventually the airlines.
Very nice. And what got you into aviation?
I've always been around it since a kid. My family is both on my mom's side and my dad's side been around aviation, both the military and the professional side.
Okay.
So I decided to take it up as a career.
Very cool. How long have you been here at HOVA?
I've been here since May of 2015.
Okay. And you started coming out here as a pilot, or did you work into the line, or what did you do?
Started off coming out here flying, and then eventually started working front desk as a flight dispatcher and a customer service representative.
Okay.
I'm now the youth programs coordinator and
Yes.
the founder of the Future Aviators of Virginia.
Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like I said, I put this out there. I told him we were going to interview you. Very interested. Obviously, I'm a little bit older than 30, but I know you're trying to get 30 and under anybody that, not just pilots, but anybody that's really an aviation enthusiast. So, what are you doing to promote that? What does that program look like for someone that's just getting into aviation?
Correct. So our basis of the organization that I started is mostly online.
Okay.
People under the age of 30 that have any type of interest or involvement in aviation, whether it be from flying, air traffic control, or just admiring airplanes. So it's a great networking community, great place to meet people that have similar interests. And currently we're on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram's our larger following. And people just share their stories, share their photos, their videos with us. I'll post it. And it's a great community, great place to meet people that have the same interests as us.
That's awesome. Yes, I've actually seen that. I will have links down below in the description with all of the stuff for young aviators. So definitely take a look at Trevor's page. Support him as he continues to be a professional pilot. I really do appreciate him taking the time out here today to show us the airport, show us the airplanes. The community is a big thing. I know that you guys did a couple events. I think you had what you call the big event that you did this year. You're planning on an even larger one next year.
Correct.
What all do you do with that event?
So I also hosted those events this year. Back in July 28th of 2018, we hosted the big event at the Hanover County Airport. The basis of the event was more like a career fair networking event for anyone interested in aviation careers. We had about 26 organizations or companies out here from AOPA, EAA, many of the major U.S. airlines, including Delta, United, American, along with Republic, and a few other regional carriers. We had some corporate and charter aviation operations out here. We had Potomac Tracon and Richmond Tower air traffic controllers out here.
That's awesome.
Then we had a couple of World War II aircraft, Texan T-6s out here on display. The Hanover County Fire Department brought their aviation crash truck out.
Cool.
And we had about a 450 person attendance. It was a great turnout. We're planning on doing everything that the event had this year again next year on June 29th.
Okay.
The addition to the event, making it a little bit bigger for next year. On June 29th, we are going to have Young Eagle flights for kids ages 8 to 17. Those are free of charge for the kids.
That's excellent.
There will just be a pre-sign up prior to the event.
Sure.
And that is hosted in conjoint with the EAA Young Eagles
program
out of Chesterfield and Hanover County.
Okay. That's awesome. So guys, this is very important. I know we've talked about this in some of the other videos, really supporting general aviation, especially your local airports. They thrive on community. They thrive on new pilots. They thrive on people getting involved with aviation to ensure that the airport, stays active and that people are aware of what's going on in aviation. HOVA does have a full flight program. Like I said, we're in one of the trainers right now. We've already talked about the Tecnams. We should have a chance here in a little bit to talk to one of the instructors. Whether you're coming out as a student, a recreational pilot, you want to get your private, you want to get your instrument. Obviously, if you want to get multi, they have that with the Tecnams. We're going to talk about also people like me that have maybe been flying for a long time, but at the same time have been out of the cockpit for years. What does it take to get back in the cockpit? What does that look like? How can they tailor that, that training to you? Trevor, I really appreciate your time. What is one of the coolest aircraft either you have flown or you've seen come into Hanover Airport?
Some of the coolest aircraft we've had in here, we had a B-17 come in a few years ago, and it's actually coming back on Tuesday the 23rd.
Wow.
This coming week. So that'll be here all day. They are offering rides for about $450 in it. And just come on out. There's a little bit of a general admission fee, but that'll be posted on the Fly Hova website or the Hova Flight Services Facebook page. So you can look for more information on that.
Perfect. And again, I'll put those descriptions in those links in the description below. Outside of that, we're going to take a look at some of these planes. I'm really interested in looking at the Tecnam. I've not seen the twin Tecnam yet, so I'm very interested in seeing that. So stay tuned. We'll have more to come. So as promised, the next plane we're going to look at is the Tecnam. This is their twin. Trevor's working on getting that cockpit ready for us to jump in there and grab some more footage of that. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the outside of this plane. Now we're sitting in the Tecnam P2006T. Is that what it was? All right, making sure I get that right. This is the full glass cockpit with the Garmin G1000. This is a beautiful aircraft, both outside and on the inside. Take a look at the avionics. And what year is this one?
This is actually a 2008.
2008. Okay. And you have one other that's all the steam gauges, correct?
That's correct.
So this is one of the questions that I know a lot of pilots have. This is one of the questions I've asked you before. You know, when you have a pilot that's brand new, or even, you know, to take that back a step, for me, I learned in all steam gauges, right? So now if I want to get back in the cockpit, I know I'm going to be training. Is it one of those things that you think is better to go back to steam gauges to kind of get your bearings back, or jump right into the glass cockpit since that's kind of where everything is going?
Personally, my opinion on it,
sure,
the steam gauges are a little bit easier to learn on. It's just there's less going on within the cockpit.
Right.
Especially if you're getting back into flying and you flew on steam gauges, do not throw yourself straight into the G1000 unit. Though it is a little bit more situational awareness based, there's just a lot more involved with the G1000 in my opinion. So going back to basics until you can get the comfortable side of flying back down.
Sure.
And then once you've gotten the comfortable side back down, then switch over to the glass cockpit.
Yeah, so I know glass cockpit can seem very intimidating. In my last video, we talked about, again, I did learn in steam gauges, which I personally thought was easier to learn in because exactly what Trevor was saying, less cockpit management with regards to everything going on. Also, I think it's important, even if you do learn in glass, I think it is very important to understand the steam gauges so that in the event you do have a failure, even though these have multiple redundancies built in, that you know how to fly when you do have to go back to that steam gauge. And before we jump out of this plane, let's just take a quick talk about the airport itself. You've been here for a few years now. How many planes do you have that are trained? How many planes do you have that are chartered here? And then obviously I know this is extremely close to Richmond International Airport. Being outside of that Class C airspace gives some people some more flexibility. What types of aircraft do you see that come in and land here?
We have all types of aircraft, from anything as small as these little flight school size Cessna planes and Tecnams and things of that sort. We do get some experimental aircraft in here. We've got over 100 aircraft based here, 60 of which are in tenant hangars, and about another 50 of which stay outside on the ramp. We've got things from World War II Texan T6s based here. We've got a Phenom 300 based here, an Eclipse jet that's based here, quite a number of Cirruses based here. And then as far as traffic that we get that's transient, we'll have anything from just like a Cessna or a Cirrus all the way up to regional jet size aircraft. We do not have airlines come in, but we do have some private aircraft such as Gulfstreams, Falcons, Challengers, and CRJ-200s that have landed here before. Very cool.
They do have the Eclipse jet that he was talking about. We're not sure if it is here, but if it is, we'll definitely grab some pictures and some footage of that while we're here. For now, we're going to shut this down since we don't have the tug hooked up to this. We don't want to burn the battery down on this, and take a look at some more of the airport. So while we're walking around the airport, we actually ran into another pilot, someone that Trevor knows. Her name is Alexa, and actually her family owns a hangar here with an aircraft, a 1975, you said? Cessna 172 Skyhawk 2. So guys, this is Alexa. Say hello.
Hello.
As I said, we're in her hangar with her family. How long have you been flying?
For about a year now, but we've always flown with my family, having aircraft, and them both being pilots.
Very cool. So her family does own this aircraft, as you said. I think you said your grandfather was the original pilot. He flew for the airlines or for the military, or both?
I want to say just airlines.
Okay.
My dad went straight into the airlines. He's a JetBlue pilot right now.
Very cool.
But yeah, so it's kind of just always been in the family.
Okay, so that's great. Another thing about general aviation, for those of you that are pilots, is that, you know, typically there's someone in your family that did it. Now, that was not the case for me. I saw Top Gun because I'm old and a geek, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And that's when I had my love of planes, and I've been flying since then. But typically it is family oriented. Again, big support for general aviation, which is very important. You are also trying to be like Trevor, and you can go to the airlines, right?
Yep.
Do you want to fly for JetBlue like your dad, or do you? Of course you do. So where are you going to school now?
I'm at VCU right now.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So at VCU, same place I went. So
Go Rams.
that's right, go Rams. What is probably the coolest moment you've had so far in your flight training?
I think soloing is probably the coolest
Sure.
thing. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like your high point in your career. Like everything else is just does not come up to that.
It does not. So I remember my first time. I learned, as you guys know, at a military academy. That was in my last video. What did they do crazy for you when you soloed? Did they do anything here?
Well, my dad was like freaking out
Yes.
on the runway, like, oh my god.
It is a big moment for us. They threw us in the pool for whatever reason. That was
Oh my
the
gosh.
tradition there. I know a lot of people
Yes, we had the shirt
yeah,
tails
the
cut
shirt
out.
tail cut out, all that type of stuff. What is the coolest plane you've flown? Have you mostly been in 172?
Yep.
Okay.
Mainly 172.
172, and you have steam gauge, or are you guys glass?
Yeah, we've got everything in there, so glass.
Oh,
We
awesome.
got a mix.
So let's take a look at the inside of her plane, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Her dad also rides motorcycles. Very important for those of us that love speed. Again, a family plane here based at Hanover Airport. How long have you guys owned the plane?
For about a year now.
Okay, so you've had the plane for as long as you've been training.
Yeah, so we went straight into, he was like, you know what? Because he was actually CFI here when he was getting all of his hours.
Oh, very cool.
So he learned in the same plane, and his dad's plane and my grandpa's plane. So he was like, it's easier for you to learn in the same plane, and you know what it's going on. So he was like, we'll go ahead and do it.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
If you had to give a new student or someone that's interested in aviation some advice, what would be the one thing that you've learned, or the one thing that you would tell them to encourage them to keep doing what they're doing?
If you have a passion for it, you'll find it.
Absolutely correct.
You know, you go up and you might be scared the first couple times you go, but after that, it's adrenaline that is constantly pumping through your body.
Could not agree more. We have one more. One of the linemen that works here, he actually is a co-owner of another Cessna 172 as part of a club. He was telling me they just went to California and back, so we're going to go interview him as well. We are here with Evan. Not only is he a pilot, he is also works here at the airport as a linesman, so we're going to get that perspective. And more importantly for me, he is someone that learned to fly and then had a 21-year hiatus before getting back into flying. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then this is a club plane, and it just went back and forth to California, which sounds like a phenomenal trip. So we're going to talk about that as well. Evan, I appreciate you taking our time.
Sure.
Guys, this is Evan, as we just said. So let's talk a little bit about, number one, how long you've been flying now.
Well, I got my license my sophomore year of college in 1974.
Okay. So you said you did that with the ROTC.
I used my monthly scholarship check because in those days you could rent a wet 180 for $20 an hour.
Wow.
And the instructor got a whole nother $5.
Awesome. That is, I wish it was still that today, right,
So
guys?
that $100 a month check was just enough that in about 9 months I took my check ride in June of 74.
Wow, that's very cool. And you said ROTC. So what did you do with ROTC? Did you go into the military?
Yeah, I was in the Army Transportation Corps for 6 years.
Okay.
My eyesight uncorrected is not good enough for military
Sure.
flying, and in those days you didn't have any options for LASIK surgery.
That's right.
So I did use my GI Bill to get my commercial instrument tickets while I was in the service.
That is very cool. So you guys know, Evan doesn't know this yet. I actually learned to fly at Randolph-Macon Military Academy up near Front Royal, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
We were just up there for homecoming last weekend. That was my dream. They have their own flight program. I learned to fly there. The intent was to get out, go into the Navy. Unfortunately, I have a heart murmur, and they said the same thing. That's not something you're ever going to fly in the military for, but it's very cool that you have that background. So once you got your ticket and you started doing your endorsements, it sounds like you had a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I mean, I also got a CFI ticket, so I instructed a little bit, but then I was on orders to go to Korea.
Okay.
When I came back, I was involved in a flight club for about a year and took a transcontinental flight from upstate New York to the West Coast for my honeymoon.
Wow.
And then I had to hang it up for a while while you buy a house and raise kids.
That's right.
And it's 21 years
That's
before
right.
I got back into flying.
So let's talk about that, because obviously it has not been 21 years, but I have been out of the cockpit for a few years. What was it like, number one, when you decided you wanted to go back? Were you nervous? Were there things that you delayed it because you're like, oh, well, it's been so long, am I going to remember how to do this? What was it like to really say, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get back into flying, and then that process to get back to being current?
Well, I bought the current AIM,
Okay.
Airman's Information Manual, and FARs,
Sure.
Federal Aviation Regulations, and started reading because the names of things had changed.
Right.
What you now call Class B used to be called a Terminal Control Area. So
Right.
I until very recently, would still call it a TCA once in a while. So, you know, things had changed. Mode C capability was
Right.
fairly new when I quit, but now everybody's got Mode C on their transponders. But fortunately, the airplanes I fly all have steam gauges, so that was real easy. I was familiar with that.
Right.
But it was, yeah, a certain amount of reading. I reread the Airman's Information Manual,
Right.
and it comes back pretty quickly. It's
Excellent.
surprising how fast it comes back.
Yeah, that's great. So that's great news for me. That's great news for the the others of you that are rusty pilots, as we call them, that want to get back in the cockpit. Mention steam gauges. Have you done any glass? Do you have any interest in glass, or do you like staying with the steam gauges?
I find the steam gauges are easier. I think the glass can overwhelm you.
Sure.
And you got a lot of knobs to push. You got to understand the knobology, as they
That's
call it.
right. That's right.
With steam gauges, they're all the same in every airplane. You know, I mean, an artificial horizon, your directional gyro. It's simple. There's no. The real trick for me was learning how to work a GPS.
So let's talk about this aircraft
Okay.
here. So this is a
1981.
1981 Cessna 172T, we think?
I think it's a P. Papa.
A P, Papa. And you said that this plane just recently got painted and back in, well, recent is a relative term.
2003, but it's always been hangared, so the paint job looks pretty new.
Okay. And this plane, you were saying, just went to California. Is that right?
Yeah, one of the other club members and I flew out to the West Coast.
Okay.
You know, it was 51.6 hours round trip. You stop every 3 hours, but the
Sure.
more notable stops where we actually spent some time was Cody, Wyoming, Jackson and Yellowstone Park, the Portland area to see a couple of aviation museums, the Spruce Goose at McMinnville.
Yeah, very cool.
We flew down to Medford and rented a car so we could see the Redwoods near there and over to Crescent City.
Okay.
We went to Lake Tahoe.
Very cool.
We got stuck one day in Susanville, California because the winds in the Tahoe Basin were such that a 737 reported severe turbulence on climb out from Reno at 16,000. So we waited another
You waited,
day.
sure.
We waited another,
Sure.
the next day it was fine.
Okay.
Wendover, which is an old bomber field where they got ready for dropping the Hiroshima bombs. We spent 2 days in Ogden.
Very cool.
And then we were timing our return so as not to get too close to Florence. We had to let her get out of the way.
I do appreciate you taking the time for us today. We are going to take one more look at the plane here, and then we will let him get back to making sure all these planes are ready to go. Absolutely beautiful aircraft. Can definitely tell that it's well maintained, well cared for. So we are in the corporate hangar here at Hanover Airport. We are gracious enough to have Warren. He is one of the flight instructors here. Spend a few minutes with him. We're just going to, ask him about his experience. He's done a little bit of everything. So talk about, the services that they offer here at Hanover Airport and what it's like to be a student here or what it's like to get back into the cockpit. So everyone, this is Warren. Warren, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to spend some time with us. First of all, let's just talk about just your experience in general. What got you into aviation? Why did you want to be a pilot? And what has made you become a flight instructor?
Okay, simple enough. Elementary school had a slight interest in aviation, and when I was in middle school, actually I had a opportunity to do a discovery flight.
Okay.
And that was over the lakeside and downtown area of Richmond.
Okay.
We flew out of a little airport called Northfield. It preceded Hanover in a different part of the town. And it just one thing led to another, and I finally decided after I graduated from high school that I really wanted to take flying lessons. And it was after I actually finished VCU in 1973 that I was able to get my private pilot certificate. So I flew for several years. My wife and I got married.
Sure.
And I was away from flying for almost 30 years and came back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Earned my instrument rating certificate, commercial flight instructor, and been doing part-time flight instruction since 2005.
Wow.
And then went almost full-time about 3 years ago.
Okay. So again, we're seeing a trend here. Both Warren, Evan, there's lots of people that have gotten into aviation at a young age, and then they got out of it for many, many years for one reason or another, whether it be because of life or whether it be because of work or marriage or whatever it may be. And then, you have these people that are able to get back into the cockpit, specifically in Warren's case, where he's able to do that and continue that. And now he's able to teach students, from the young age all the way up to my age and older, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. One of the other things that you heard him say was that he really got his love for this and his passion from this from a discovery flight. And that's one of the things that we talked about with Trevor. That's very important for the young eaglets, him supporting that cause, the young aviators of Virginia, really starting from the ground up and trying to build that community so that we don't have what we have now, which is a pilot shortage, and we just keep people interested in the sport and in the aviation as a whole. So when you teach a student, what is it that you try to instill in them? I know that there's the curriculums, there's the standards that they have to pass, but that outside of the textbook, what are you really trying to do when you're trying to take a student and turn them into a pilot?
Trying to give them an opportunity to develop some skills they might have,
right?
Might not even know they have. An opportunity to experience something they've never experienced before and see the excitement in their lives,
right? And
how it might end up changing a course of their life forever,
right?
We drop, as parents, oftentimes we have opportunities to sow seeds. Some of them germinate, some of them don't. But we have kind of a responsibility to enable our children to experience different things.
Right.
Many of the people who come through here, they taste it and they like it. They want to come back. And I like working with people who have that passion.
Sure.
And a desire to not only experience something new, but to enable themselves to get a little bit enriched in life.
Excellent. How many instructors do you know are here at HOVA?
We currently have, I'm guessing, 12 to 15 instructors.
Wow. Okay.
Both full-time and part-time. So we can accommodate whoever comes in on whatever type of schedule.
Perfect.
Be it a student,
okay,
after school or weekends.
Right.
Somebody in the business world who only has time infrequently because of business trips.
Sure.
Or somebody who wants to do something on an accelerated basis.
Okay.
We have that provision in our instruction manual as well.
Fantastic. I completely agree with Warren. I completely agree with Trevor and what Alexa and Evan. You've heard multiple different people here say it. Pick up the phone. Call someone. They are here to help you. They are here if you are just starting. If you want to get back into it, sit down with an instructor. Let them go through your logbook. Let them go with the training you either have or haven't done. And they can help get you back on the path to being in the cockpit and in the sky where we all want to be. Warren, appreciate your time today.
Way to do it, sir.
Thank you
for
asking questions. And guys, I'm going to try to get back out here, whether it be with Warren or one of the other instructors, to do exactly what I just said. Go through my logbook and determine how I'm going to get back up there, and I hope to see all of you there too. I know this video is a little longer than my others. That said, I really do believe in supporting your local airport and your local aviation community, which is why I wanted to take the time to make this. I actually had to cut out a ton of footage because this video would have been an hour long. I want to take the time to really thank Trevor and Alexa, Warren, Evan, everyone at HOVA and Hanover Airport that makes this possible. If you like this content, hit thumbs up. And guys, I am meeting with Warren on Wednesday to go through my logbook and get back in the cockpit. Until then, happy procrastinating.